In the vast silence that echoes behind the noise of the world, there is a truth no one dares to face. Our entire civilization depends on 15 minutes. 15 minutes between a mistake and the end. 15 minutes between an alert and the dust. 15 minutes between human pride and the collapse it built with its own hands. We live in cities lit by screens, windows, and speeds that numb us. But behind this shimmering curtain lies a fragility that hums quietly while we keep consuming, collecting, running, as if nothing could ever reach us. We are a species distracted by its own shadow, a species drowning in its own excess, a species that forgot life has always hung by a thread far thinner than we dare imagine. And on this thread, fragile and invisible, we pile objects, expectations, illusions, while losing the only thing that ever mattered: presence, consciousness, the silence that liberates. The world rushes as if it were eternal, yet carries in its pocket the clock that can stop everything. And still, we run. We run to arrive nowhere. We run to buy what we don't need. We run to prove what no one asked for. We run to display lives we don't live. We run as if time were an enemy rather than a teacher. Excess became an addiction, and addiction became identity. Storefronts shine while hearts dim. Calendars overflow while souls run dry. We are free to buy, yet imprisoned to live, connected to screens, disconnected from life. In the midst of so many stimuli, we lost the ability to see what is obvious. The modern world has enough speed to blind us, but no depth to save us. And when everything hangs on 15 minutes, perhaps haste is the greatest danger. Perhaps speed is the new form of ignorance. Because the truth is harsh. We live under the illusion that more is better, while carrying a void that no novelty can fill. We created a universe where everything must be quick, instant, immediate, as if slowness were a flaw and contemplation a waste of time. Society taught us to multiply possessions and divide presence, to collect objects and lose ourselves. We became rich in things yet poor in essence. We pile up objects that suffocate. We wear masks that exhaust. We take pride in crowded schedules and empty spirits. And in this cycle of accumulation and anxiety, we forget the fragility of the real world. One mistake, one calculation wrong, one misread signal, 15 minutes, and everything we swore was essential becomes meaningless in the face of survival itself. The clothes, the cars, the diplomas, the devices we constantly replace. All of it dissolves when we remember life can vanish in a breath. The anxiety we carry is not only born from hurry, it is the subtle terror of sensing we built our comfort on unstable structures. We chase goals that aren't ours, fight invisible wars for attention, status, validation, conditioned to always want more, consume more, do more, be more, while our hearts desperately whisper for less. Less weight, less noise, less pressure, less illusion. And when we look out at the world, at the arsenals, the buttons, the technologies capable of erasing cities, something inside us whispers that something is deeply wrong. Eternity is a fantasy, yet we live as if guaranteed by contract. Simplicity is a key, yet we treat it as weakness. Instead of slowing down, we accelerate. Instead of breathing, we tighten the air. Instead of feeling, we numb ourselves with things. And then comes the cruel paradox. The more we accumulate, the more vulnerable we become. The more we depend on objects, the more we drift from our inner strength. The faster we run, the less we see the abyss ahead. We live in homes full of belongings, yet empty of purpose. We store memories we don't remember. We buy objects we never use. We turn life into a warehouse of excess, believing that's safety, when in truth it's captivity. And when the entire world can be altered by a 15-minute mistake, it becomes impossible to ignore the absurdity of living weighed down by so much. For what? For whom? Why spend a lifetime protecting things that won't protect us? Obsession with having blinded us to being. Obsession with speed blinded us to presence. Obsession with control blinded us to the invisible. But there is a crack. There is always a crack. And it opens when the noise becomes unbearable, when the mind collapses under too many demands, when the soul suffocates beneath the weight of expectations. It is in that crack that simplicity rises again, not as a trend, not as aesthetics, but as survival. There is a silent wisdom in letting go, a deep strength in living with less, a freedom impossible to describe in slowing down. Simplicity is not poverty, it is clarity. It is lightness. It is consciousness. It is removing the unnecessary so the essential has room to breathe. It is recognizing that the weight of things crushes the lightness of the soul. It is realizing life never needed to be so complicated. The modern world convinced us we need everything, yet we need almost nothing. When we slow down, we begin to see what was hidden. The song of birds we never heard, the taste of food we never noticed, the touch of the wind we never felt, the conversations we never had, the breath we never respected, the presence we always postponed. And perhaps it is precisely this that protects us. The lucidity of a conscious mind, the calm of someone who refuses to be swept away by the world's hysteria, the lightness of someone unchained from what can vanish in 15 minutes. For minimalism is not an aesthetic, it is a silent rebellion against modern chaos, a way of declaring, I refuse to join this insane race. It is reclaiming sovereignty over one's own mind. And once we understand this, something within us shifts. A quiet strength rises, a serene courage emerges. We realize true security never lived in vaults, systems, or external structures, but in our ability to remain awake even when the world trembles. Those who live with less live with more inner space. Those who lighten their load gain clarity. Those who detach gain courage. And in a world that can end in 15 minutes, consciousness becomes the only real shelter. Simplicity becomes a shield, presence becomes a weapon, lucidity becomes revolution. In the end, we arrive at the truth we avoided all our lives. We do not control time, but we control how we live within it. We do not control the world's 15 minutes, but we control our own. The choices we make, the weight we release, the lightness we allow. We can live as victims of speed or guardians of presence, hoard fear or cultivate awareness, exist as machines or awaken as human beings. And when this realization finally enters us, something changes, something deepens, something awakens. And then, in the quiet after the storm of reflection, we finally see the truth no one taught us. The greatest revolution is not surviving the fatal mistake, but refusing to let it destroy our humanity before it happens. True resistance is internal. True protection is simple. True strength is light. The world may collapse in 15 minutes, but an entire life can be reborn in a single moment of consciousness. All it takes is a choice, a breath, a return to the essential, to the present, to the simplicity that quietly and humbly has always been the greatest form of freedom human beings can claim.